ॐ दक्षिणस्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताः स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशववामन कृष्णपाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञान गुरु सद्यो जात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. With the blessings of our entire Guru Parampara of the Chitrapur Mutt, and also with the special and personal blessings by Srimad Sadyojat Shankarashram Swamiji, from today onwards, every Wednesday, we'll all be indulging in a study of a purely Vedantic text called as Viveka Chudamani. It is a very serious intention of our Parama Pujya Sadyojat Shankarashram Swamiji that more and more Vedanta Chintan has to go on in the Samaj, and that he has been expressing very often. And this particular study of this Vedantic text called Vivek Chudamani is something in keeping with our Swamiji's desire for making our Samaj more and more Vedanta friendly. Now, we have studied Bhagavad Gita for the last 90 sessions. And Bhagavad Gita, though it is actually a summary of the entire Upanishads, or it's the summary of Vedanta, there are so many other topics that were discussed by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita during his dialogue with Arjuna. But here in Viveka Chudamani, we will find that it is a more serious and more deeper study of Vedanta as it is. And therefore, many of the topics discussed in Bhagavad Gita we may not find here, though some of them may be found. But this, involves a more deeper and a more serious study of what Vedanta says. Now let us come to this Viveka Chudamani, starting from what our primary source of knowledge is. According to our Sanatana Dharma, the Vedas are supposed to be the primary source of knowledge. And it is from the Vedas that all branches of knowledge come out. Now, Veda can mean the Veda Purva, which I have already discussed when we started Bhagavad Gita. Veda Purva means more of karma and upasana, or a ritualistic way of life which is given in the Veda Purva. And the Vedas also have, that the ultimate summary of Atmajnanam which is given in Vedanta. Vedanta, actually, word meaning of Vedanta is the end portion of the Vedas. But actually what it means is, it is the very most important portion of the Vedas is Vedanta, wherein the very nature of the self, the very nature of what this jiva is, what Jagat is, what Ishvara is, and what is the relationship between the three. Is there any difference between Ishvara and Jiva? All these things are actually discussed here in Vedanta. And when we come to Vedanta, the teaching of Vedas and Vedantas, there are three very important sources of this Vedantic teaching or knowledge. And we call it as the Prasthanatraya. And Prasthanatraya means Traya, three, Prasthana means three sources. Now, Prasthana can also mean, the meaning of the word Prasthana is actually a way or a path, a pathway or a road. Whereas here in this context, in Vedantic context, when we say Prasthanatraya, it is the three sources from which this Vedic teaching, this Vedantic teaching is imparted to the people. The way the Vedantic concepts, the way the truth that is talked about in the Vedanta is conveyed. It is conveyed through these three sources. The first prasthana or the first source is called as the Shruti Prasthana. Shruti Prasthana means the entire Vedanta which contains all the Upanishads. We have already seen that in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita itself, that these Upanishads were supposed to be any number because they come, at the end portion of the terminal portion of the Vedas. And then each Veda in different Aranyakas and in different parts, there were supposed to be thousands of Upanishads. But then at present, after having lost a lot of shakhas of the Vedas, we have now with us about 108 Upanishads, out of which the main Upanishads are the 10 Upanishads for which Bhagwan Shankaracharya has written the Bhashyas. And these 10 Upanishads now, and of course with certain minor Upanishads, Laghu Upanishads like Kaivalya Upanishad, Amrita Bindu Upanishad, Brahma Bindu Upanishad, we have some smaller or what are called as the Laghu Upanishads. This is what is called as the Shruti Prasthana, where the Upanishadic teaching is very, very clearly given. Now, this Shruti Prasthana is supposed to be not a product of human intellect. It is a Paurusheyam. What is the meaning of a Paurusheyam? That whatever is the truth that has been told in the Shruti Prasthanam, that which is explained in the Shruti or in Vedanta or in Upanishads, it is not some creation of any human intellect. It is said that at the time of creation, Lord or Parmeshwara, along with the creation, revealed these truths in the form of mantras to our rishis, the ancient rishis, who are also called as the Drishtaras, and they directly caught this message of the Lord directly, and this message was transmitted as it is, not changed by the rishis, but it was transmitted as it is to various generations. And that's how we have a link, Dakshinasya Samarambha, Shankaracharya Madhyama, Asmadacharya Paryanta. This parampara of this, teaching, which has gone on in a proper sampradayika way, in a very, very traditional way, this teaching has gone on right from the Upanishadic rishis who have found this directly, who have, absorbed this directly at the time of the creation itself. Therefore, this Shruti Prasthana is called as a Paurushaya, which is not a product of human intellect. Then the second one, we have what is called as the Smriti Prasthana. In Smriti Prasthana, we have Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the important one, the Smriti Prasthana. Here, Smriti Prasthana means all the topics that are dealt in Bhagavad Gita are in keeping with the Upanishads. They are in keeping with the Shruti Prasthana. Shruti Prasthana or Shruti or the Upanishads are the primary source of knowledge. And then based on this, the Smriti Granthas are written, especially the Bhagavad Gita. Here, this is a product of human intellect in the sense that though it is Bhagwan Krishna who gave this knowledge to Arjuna, but it was compiled and it was given by Vyasacharya. And though Vyasacharya is also considered to be an avatara of Vishnu, but then in the human form as Vyasacharya's intellect, Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe, in that Vishala Buddhi of Vyasa, this whole teaching which was given by Bhagwan Krishna to Arjuna was taken, it was compared, and it was compiled into readable or understandable number of shlokas and chapters and given out to us in the form of teaching. Therefore, Smriti Prasthana has Bhagavad Gita as the one very important Smriti Prasthana. Then we have the third source of knowledge, as I said, Prasthanatraya. That means there are three main sources of this Vedantic teaching. And the third source, Prasthanatraya, the third one is called as Nyaya Prasthana. Nyaya Prasthana means where here the Upanishadic teaching is actually explained, logically explained, and it is substantiated logically. It is not, it is explained logically. It is given in a form where logically it is palatable. Where again Bhagwan Vyasacharya is the author of this, Nyaya Prasthana, which is also called as Brahma Sutras. And all of us who are chanting the Prasthanatraya Bhashya every week and during the special situations in the mud, we all know what it means, how the Bhashya of the Brahma Sutra goes, how the Bhashyas of the Upanishads go. Now, what has happened here is for the Shruti Prasthana, Smriti Prasthana, and also Nyaya Prasthana, there are a lot of people, acharyas, who have written commentaries, because many of these Shruti, whether it is Shruti Prasthana, in the Upanishads, the topics are many times not dealt with in a very, very regular and systematic manner. Therefore, it always looks as if there is some kind of a contradiction between what the Upanishad is saying in one place compared to the other. Sometimes we feel that one Upanishad is having certain aspects which are contradicting with the other Upanishad. Therefore, to make it more regularized, to make it more easily understandable, and to iron out all the possible kind of controversies, many of the acharyas have written what are called as bhashyas or commentaries on Upanishads. And we, especially in the Advaita tradition, we depend entirely upon Bhagwan Sri Shankara's Bhashya, Shankaracharya's Bhashyas, Bhagwan Shankaracharya's Bhashyas on the 10 major Upanishads which he has written. We follow that, and then we go by what Bhagwan Shankaracharya talks about in his commentaries on the Shruti Prasthana. At the same time, Bhagwan Shankaracharya has also written the commentary on the Bhashya on Bhagavad Gita. And that is the Bhashya on which we depend upon to basically teach the teachings of Bhagavad Gita also. Then the Nyaya Prasthana, the third one, the third source of knowledge, what is called as the Brahma Sutra, which I said is logical explanation of what is taught in the Shruti. And that is, of course, the Smriti references are also given in Brahma Sutra, but basically it is to logically substantiate and logically to explain what actually the Shruti means. And here in Nyaya Prasthana, a lot of arguments are also brought to prove that what the Shruti Prasthana says is from the point of view of Advaita. So this is what is Nyaya Prasthana. We don't have to worry much about these things. It is only because this is an introductory class, I have to talk about what are the main sources of this knowledge from where this Vedantic teaching comes. And ultimately, we have to understand that all the other two prasthanas, the Smriti Prasthana and the Nyaya Prasthana, have their basis in the Upanishadic teaching. Now, as I said, sometimes these, bhashyas and these prasthanas, the three main sources, the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, and also the Brahma Sutras, sometimes it may be very difficult for the study for a beginner student. And therefore, many of our acharyas have written certain works called as Prakarana Granthas. So, what are Prakarana Granthas? Prakarana Granthas are those which are based entirely on the Shruti and Smriti and Nyaya Prasthana, but those Prakaranas are giving the same teaching of the Upanishads in a very, very methodical and systematic manner. In a certain way, like what is Jiva Swarupa, what is Ishvara Swarupa, what is Jagat Swarupa, what is Bandha, what is Moksha, what is the sadhana for moksha. All these things are very, very clearly and given in such a way that it is very easy to go step by step. So the Prakarana Granthas explain step by step what the Upanishads are saying. And one of the most important Prakarana Granthas, and there are a lot of acharyas, many acharyas have written Prakarana Granthas. Some of them are very simple Prakarana Granthas, some of them are very, very complicated Prakarana Granthas. One example of a simple Prakarana Grantha, which we have already read, which is there in our website, is Tattva Bodha and Atma Bodha. We can say that some of these two are what are called as the primers of Vedanta, the primary textbooks of Vedanta, wherein the Tattvabodha and Atmabodha talk about what is it that Vedanta tries to convey. That is what is being talked about in Tattvabodha and Atmabodha. We can call them as the initiating books or the primers of Vedanta. Similarly, there is another initiating work, a Prakarana Grantha, by Adi Shankaracharya, and that is called as Viveka Chudamani. Now, this is the Grantha, this is the Prakarana Grantha that we are taking up for our study. Now, what is the meaning of Viveka Chudamani? The name of this Prakarana is called as Viveka Chudamani. Now, let us understand it contains two words, Viveka and Chudamani. What is the meaning of Viveka? Viveka means discriminative knowledge, the process of discrimination. Discrimination between what? Between the right and wrong, between Sat and Asat. Now, all these words are quite familiar with you because in Bhagavad Gita we have already read, we have already explained what is Sat, that is what is Satyam, what is Mithya, what is Satya, what is Mithya, what is Sat and what is Asat, what is Nityam, what is Anityam. We have already seen these things. So, here, what is the discrimination? It is the discrimination between Satyam and Mithya, the discrimination between Atma and Anatma, the discrimination between that which is the ultimate source or that which is the consciousness or the ultimate source of what I am, my Swarupam, and that which is not my Swarupam. This kind of a discrimination to understand what is the reality, what is the truth of this jiva, what is the truth of this jagat, what is the truth of Ishvara, and is there any difference between me and this Ishvara, what is Brahman. All these things are going to be talked about by discrimination. What is Brahman, what is not Brahman. This discrimination, here discrimination does not mean what we commonly in common parlance use, that's not that. Discrimination here is something where it is a discerning knowledge, a process by which something right is discerned, something right is understood. So, this process of discrimination is also called as Viveka. And the knowledge that is born out of this discriminating process is also called Viveka. So we can say that Viveka is in this, that process by which this intellect, with the help of the Shastra, with the help of the Guru, tries to discriminate between what is Satyam and what is not Satyam, what is the real and what is not the real, that which this process of finding out, this process of seeing the difference and discrimination, this is what is called as Viveka. And by this process of discrimination, what do we get? We get this knowledge, the correct knowledge. All our wrong notions about ourselves, the wrong notions about the jiva, wrong notions about jagat, wrong notions about Ishvara, all the wrong notions are taken care of. This is the right knowledge. This is the correct knowledge which is born out of this discriminative process. Therefore, Viveka means the process of discrimination, and that knowledge, the correct knowledge, the right knowledge that is born out of this process of discrimination is called as Viveka. And then, what is the meaning of Chudamani? Chudamani means a crest jewel or the ornament which is worn on the head. So, whenever you see a person, whatever may be the other ornaments worn by the person, if there is a head ornament which is worn on the head called as the Chudamani, Chuda means head, and Mani means that jewel which is there, the crest jewel, the crest jewel of Viveka, the crest jewel or that ornament which is worn on the head, which is very, very clearly and easily seen. So, this is the crest jewel of Vedantic knowledge. The discrimination and the process of discriminating to see what is right and what is wrong. Is my notion about myself, is my idea about what I am right, or is there something that I am missing? What is it that I am looking at myself as? Am I considering myself to be this body mind sense complex? Am I this body mind sense complex, or am I something else other than this? This process of trying to discriminate between the right and what is not the right. This process of discrimination, which ultimately leads me to this knowledge, discriminative knowledge, which is the right knowledge, which dispels my ajnanam, which dispels my ignorance about myself, about the Jagat, about Ishvara. This is called as the Viveka. And this text is called as Viveka Chudamani because it is the crest jewel or the most important one in the beginning or the early books of Vedantic study. Now we can say that Viveka Chudamani is very, very similar to Tattva Bodha. Now, those who have read Tattva Bodha in our ebook series will understand that Viveka Chudamani is actually a much expanded version of Tattva Bodha. In Tattva Bodha, probably in 40 or 42 verses, the entire Vedantic teaching was introduced in the form of a very brief introduction. Very beautiful book. But then, here in Viveka Chudamani, the same topics that are dealt in Tattva Bodha are expanded. It is on a very, very vast canvas. Vivek Chudamani is the same Tattva Bodha on a very, very vast, canvas where the entire Tattva Bodha, what is talked in about one or two verses of Tattva Bodha, here is explained in tens or twenties or 30 verses. And this entire Viveka Chudamani has 581 verses. But then we are not going to take up all the 581 verses because it will take another 90 or 100 sessions. And this being a Vedantic text, I'll have to go much slower than I went with regard to Bhagavad Gita. And therefore, we are not taking all the 580 verses. Instead, Pujya Swamiji has asked me to give this introduction to Vivek Chudamani with 108 selected verses. And you may ask me who selected these 108 verses of Viveka Chudamani. Acharya Dayananda Saraswati, Bhagwan Dayananda Saraswati ji, he has culled out 108 verses from this 581 verses as a introductory teaching material of Viveka Chudamani, so that the person who is starting this text does not get bored, does not get bogged down by these 580 verses. At the same time, the crux or the summary of the entire Viveka Chudamani is explained here in 108 verses. So what we are going to do is, in our study for the next 28 to 30 weeks, probably we are going to take up only this selected 108 verses. And I request all of you to have the Viveka Chudamani book in front of you. And whichever verse of the Viveka Chudamani I am going to take in these 108 verses, I am going to give you the verse number. The verse number of that particular verse will be given in the original book. In the total original book, it is this particular number. Of course, many of you may have textbooks from different sources. Sometimes there may be a little change in the number of verses, but then you will have to adjust and see one verse here and there, forward, backward, it may happen. Now, who is the author of Viveka Chudamani? That is another very important thing. The author of Viveka Chudamani is thought to be Adi Shankaracharya. Now, there are many scholars who say that Adi Shankaracharya is not the author of this. It may be some other Shankaracharya who has written this, but it does not matter to us. We are the beginners of Vedanta. And after studying Bhagavad Gita, we want to go into little more details of Vedantic study. And we have taken up Viveka Chudamani for our, going deeper into the introduction to Vedanta. And therefore, we are going to take Bhagwan Adi Shankaracharya as the author of this, in spite of lot of doubts expressed by many scholars. For us right now, Adi Shankaracharya is the author of this Viveka Chudamani book. And then here, this entire Viveka Chudamani is something where very clearly, in a very systematic manner, Adi Shankaracharya Bhagwan tries to explain all the aspects of Vedantic teaching, all the aspects of Vedantic teaching, starting from what is the Jagat, what is this Jiva? Who am I? What is this world that I am facing? What is this Ishvara that I know of which I cannot see? What is this bondage that I am feeling, Bandha? Is there any kind of a release from this bondage which is called as moksha? If there is a release from this bondage, what is this moksha? And ultimately, what are the sadhanas required for, finding this moksha, finding this freedom from this entire thing is very, very clearly explained in a bouquet of 580 verses. And we have done it once in Chitrapur Mutt, Bangalore. We have studied the entire 580 verses of Vivek Chudamani, but this time we'll be studying only 108 verses. And now, Bhagwan Shankaracharya, like any other author, when he starts this Viveka Chudamani, starts with a prayer. It is called as the invocation prayer or Mangala Charanam. What is Mangala Charanam? Now, any author who wants to start a work and he wants that this work should be completed without any kind of obstacles, at the same time, this work should reach people for whom it is meant. It should be useful for the people who read this book and who listen to this book. Guru Mukhena Shastra Shravana. This book is very commonly, Vivek Chudamani is the most common text after Tattvabodha, which is taught by almost all the Vedanta Acharyas. All the Vedanta Acharyas. Nobody ever leaves this text, Viveka Chudamani. It is taught by all the Acharyas as the basic primer, a little more deeper and a little broader and more extensive than Tattvabodha. Now he starts with the Mangalacharana, as a shloka. This shloka is, as I told you, to see that whatever purpose for which Shankaracharya has started writing this, it is completed and his purpose is served, and that this particular knowledge is taught by the Vedanta Acharyas and reaches all the Shishyas of Vedanta, those who are doing the study of Vedanta, it reaches them. For that purpose, Mangala Charanam shloka is given here, and that is the very first shloka of Viveka Chudamani. Now, let us see the first shloka that is in the original also. It is shloka number 1 only. It is verse number 1 only. Another thing I forgot to tell you that in Viveka Chudamani, actually, it is very nice to even chant Viveka Chudamani just like that, because Viveka Chudamani has got many types of chandases. Not only Anushtup chandas, but Trishtup chandas. So many other type of chandases are there. And many of the people take up Vivek Chudamani also for regular chanting. It is a beautiful text to chant because there are multiple types of meters in which these verses are written. Normally, the Prakarana Granthas may be written either in the verse form or in the text form, but Vivek Chudamani is the text which is written in the verse form, and then the verses are of different meters, of different chandases, and then it is very beautiful to chant these mantras themselves, very beautiful in their own particular tune. So there are some which don't fit into a particular chandas, which are going to be chanted like prose, like we chant Bhashya Patanam, we will chant those particular verses. Now, the first verse in the original also it is first, and here also for our study also, the Mangala Charana shloka is taken as the first shloka, and I will read it. You may also see it and you can read it along with me. सर्ववेदान्त सिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्. Here in the Mangalacharana shloka, the author Bhagwan Shankaracharya is offering his prayers to his Guru and also to Ishvara. Normally, there are 2 or 3 Mangalacharana shlokas which the authors write. One as a dedication to one's own Guru, one to Ishvara, to the Lord. But here, Bhagwan Shankaracharya has taken one verse where he considers his Guru as Sadguru, his Guru as that Paramatma. He does not see any difference between the Guru and Ishvara. So he offers this one verse of Mangalacharanam, a prayer verse, to his Guru, Govinda Bhagavat Pada. Bhagwan Shankaracharya's guru was Govinda Bhagavat Pada. Of course, we are not very familiar with this name because we don't find any of the works done by Govinda Bhagavat Pada. Whereas Govinda Bhagavat Pada's guru, Gaudapada, we are very familiar with because Gaudapada Acharya, Bhagwan Gaudapada, has written a karika or a commentary on Mandukya Upanishad. That is there. And of course, we know Shankaracharya has written commentaries on Upanishads, Brahma Sutra, Bhagavad Gita. He has written commentary on Vishnu Sahasranama, and so many Prakarana Granthas have been written by Shankaracharya, Bhagwan Shankaracharya. So we know that. Whereas Bhagwan Shankara's guru, who was Govinda Bhagavat Pada, we are not very familiar with his name because we don't have any available works which are attributed to him. But here in this Mangala Charana Shloka, Bhagwan Shankaracharya offers his prayers to his Guru and he says, Sadgurum pranatosmi aham. Pranatosmi aham. I remain saluting to that Guru. Who's that Guru? Sadguru, Paramatma Rupi Guru, that Guru who is nothing but this Atma Swarupa, Brahma Swarupa Guru, but then he is of the name Govindam. Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. Pranatosmi aham. Aham pranatosmi. I am, you know, worshipping or I am offering my namaskaras to whom? Govindam. To my Guru Govinda Bhagavat Pada. Govinda also is the name for Krishna, who was the Ishta Devata of Acharya Shankaracharya. Bhagwan Shankaracharya's Ishta Devata was also Lord Krishna. So when he says Govindam Sadgurum Pranatosmi Aham, it can be taken as he's offering his pranams not only to his Guru Govinda Bhagavat Pada, at the same time he's seeing Lord Krishna not separate from his Guru. So Govindam. And what kind of Govinda is it? What kind of this Lord is it? Paramanandam. Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmi Aham. Aham Pranatosmi Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum. Now this Guru, who's a Sadguru, the one who is going to give me the teachings of the Sat Brahma, the Sadguru, who's nothing different from Paramatma Swarupa, Atma Swarupa, Brahman only. That's why we say Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha. So this Guru is what? Granati Upadishati iti Guru. The one who collects, the one who has, who takes up all the teaching and then gives it to me in a palatable form. All the teaching of the Upanishads, which is taken by the Guru Granati Upadishati, gives me in a palatable form so that I understand what the teaching is. And therefore, this Guru, Sadgurum, the Guru who is not different from Paramatma, this Atma Swarupi, Paramatma Swarupi, Guru who is giving me this knowledge of Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. To this Sadguru Pranatosmi Aham. And what kind of Sadguru this is? This Guru Govinda Bhagavad Pada, and not different from Lord. This Guru of mine is not different from Bhagwan, not different from Ishvara. So Govindam Paramanandam, that is Ananda Rupi, Ananta Rupi, that one who represents this Anantam Purnatva Swarupam, this Purnatva Swarupa Atma Rupam Sadgurum Pranatosmi Aham, Govindam Paramanandam. And what kind of this Paramatma is it that is going to be revealed to me by this Guru? This Paramatma or this Brahman or this Atma is going to be revealed by this Guru to me. What is that kind of a Brahman or what is this Ishvara Brahman which is going to be revealed? It is Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam. The first line, if you take Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tam Agocharam. Okay, this Brahman or this Atma is what is revealed only by the Vedantic teaching. Vedanta Sara it is. It is the very summary, it is the very crux of the teaching of Vedanta. It is the Tatparyam, it is the summary of Vedanta. So, who is this Guru? He is the Guru who is revealing to me that particular Atma Swarupam Brahma. He is nothing other than that. He is going to tell me, you are also that. This teaching is going to tell me, the Guru is going to tell me, I myself, the Guru, and you, the Shishya, we are not different from that Paramatma Swarupa. So, right now, that Paramatma Swarupa, Paramananda Swarupa, Atma Swarupa, Sadgurum Pranatosmi, and this Paramatma, the Swarupam of which is not available for objectification. Tam agocharam. We have already seen this in Bhagavad Gita also. It is this Parabrahma Swarupa, Atma Swarupa, which is revealed only by the scriptures. That is why Krishna had to say, what is this Kshetra? What is this Kshetrajna? In the 13th chapter, he had to reveal himself as Kshetrajna. In the 14th chapter, he had to reveal himself as the Gunatita Atma. In the 15th chapter, Bhagwan Krishna had to reveal that Paramatma Swarupa as nothing but Purushottama. Therefore, this Atma, this Brahman, the Swarupam of which is not available for objectification, but this Swarupam is available only by Vedanta Tatparya. So, this particular Atma Swarupam, which is available only for the Vedanta Tatparya, not by any other means of knowledge. This very Swarupam of Brahman or Atma, which happens to be none other than my Guru, Govinda Bhagavat Pada, to that Guru, Sadgurum, Pranatosmi Aham. So I offer my namaskaras, I offer my, my respects and pray to my Guru that whatever work I have taken up is completed and useful for whatever purpose I have started this work. And who is that Guru? Paramananda Swarupa Guru, Atma Swarupa Guru, the Brahma Swarupa Guru, that which is not revealed by any other source of knowledge except by the Vedanta source of knowledge. To such a Guru who is not different, who is Brahma Eva, who is Atma Eva, that Atma Swarupi Gurum Sadgurum, that's why it's called Sadgurum. So Sadgurum Aham Pranataha Asmi. So I offer my namaskaras and I surrender to this Guru. And here the Guru is not looked at as separate from Ishvara. Guru and Ishvara are looked at in the same way. Like in the Ashirvachan that just recently Paramapuज्य Swamiji said, Shiva and Guru are not seen to be separate or different from each other. Guru is Shiva, Shiva is Guru. That is what is here being told by Bhagwan Shankaracharya when he is offering his pranams, has his prayers to his teacher and to Ishvara. Now we will go to the main starting of the teaching. Here now, the second verse that we are taking after the Mangalacharanam verses actually is the third verse in the main Viveka Chudamani. So those of you who have got the books with them, just look at it as the very third verse in the main Vivek Chudamani. So let me read it. Durlabham trayame vaitad devanugraha hetukam manusyatvam mumukshutvam mahapurusha samshrayaha. So in the first few verses, Viveka Chudamani talks about the greatness of having got a human janma, because it is said by our scriptures that in no other embodiment is a jiva capable of gaining this knowledge. If it is the animal janma, if it is an animal body, there is no question of a free will. An animal is absolutely programmed for whatever it has to do. An animal only has to eat, sustain itself, procreate, and continue its species, and at the same time protects its territory. And for these basic things, ultimately they are completely programmed. So there is no question of a free will for an animal. And it is said that even in higher lokas, like the Deva Loka, we have seen in Bhagavad Gita that those who are those who die sattva pradhana individuals by their karma, and when the sattva pradhana individuals die in when their intellects are more sattva pradhana, they go to higher lokas. We have heard of that. Higher lokas are all these Deva Lokas, Pitra Loka, all these higher lokas where we have 14 lokas as according to our Shastra. Lokas are not physical realms, they are just different fields of experience. That's all. It's not that the earth realm is here, there is something above that, something above that. It is not a spatial realm, which is called as a loka. Loka is merely a field of experience where the jivas are born in different fields of experience depending upon their karma. Depending upon their karma phala, they're born in different fields of experience. And it is said that it is only in a human birth that there is a possibility of moksha. Why? Because only in a human birth there is this purushartha possible. A pursuit. Purushartha means what? A human pursuit. What is the meaning of human pursuit? A choice as to what I want. It's only a human being who can make a choice. It's only a human being, a human jiva, which has got a free will to decide upon what one wants. Do I want to remain, bound in this samsara? Is artha and kama my only, importance here? Am I only after security and only after fulfilling my desires and in the field of becoming something, accumulating something, acquiring something? That's all. Is my life only artha kama oriented, or do I want to have something more than this? Do I want to know what exactly I am? Why am I here? What am I doing here? What is this world? How has it come about? And is there something which is guiding or something which is taking care of this world? What is this God? If at all there is a God, we talk about God. What is this God? Iti, a person, it's only a human being who can have that interest, a free will in knowing these things. So, a human free will is something which can go after only material pursuits in life, artha kama purusharthas, or it is only in the human life that one can go after or pursue dharma and moksha purusharthas. Dharma means acquiring punya, a spiritual punya, for undertaking this study. Do I want to keep coming back again and again and again in the same way, in different bodies, in different ways, coming back into samsara? Or do I want to know the truth of what this whole thing is and I want to escape from this? That choice is mine. That is why we have got four purusharthas. No animal has got purushartha. No plant has got purushartha. And it is said that even those in higher lokas, like devatas or even in Brahmaloka, there is no, even in Brahmaloka also, there is no choice there. There is no purushartha there. You are there to wear out your punya karma. And in the lower bodies, you are there to wear out your papa karma. So it is only the human birth which is capable of giving me the capacity to choose to what I want. And therefore, he says that getting the human janma itself is very rare. Durlabham nara janma, it is said in the previous first and second verses in Vivek Chudamani itself. Since we are not taking up all the verses, directly we are going to the third verse. It is said that it is very rare and it requires a great amount of punya and grace to be born as a human being. It is very, very durlabham to get this human birth. See, it is said that there are 84 lakhs species of jivas. Okay, 84 lakhs species of jivas. And in each species, there are so many varieties of jivas. So many varieties of jivas. And then if I have to get a human birth, it is 1 in 84 lakhs chance. You agree with that? If there are 84 lakhs jivas now at this moment, Today, if I am born as a human being, my chance of being born as a human is 1 in 84 lakhs. And I have got this human birth where I have got the capacity to discriminate. I have been given an intellect which has a free will, an intellect to discriminate, an intellect to see where I stand, an intellect to see that I am bound and I want to be free. What do I want to be? Where I want to go? What is it that I want to understand? It is only in human birth that I have got the free will and the discriminative free will to go about it. Therefore, it is said, Durlabham Trayameva Yetat. What is that? Narajanma Manushyatvam. So he says here, Durlabham Manushyatvam. He says three things are very, very difficult to have, and these three things are only Daivanugraha Hetukam. Trayameva Yetad. These three things are Durlabham. Durlabham means what? Very rare, very difficult. And it is only out of the grace of God that we get this three things. What are those three things? Manushyatvam, to be born as a Manusha. And at the same time, I told you why Manushyatvam is being born as a Manusha is so rare, so difficult, and it is only out of some grace of Purva Punya that I am born as a human being. Even when I am born as a human being, the next rarest thing is Mumukshutvam. What is Mumukshutvam? The desire to know myself, the desire to be free from this bondage. Every one of us, every human being feels a sense of bondage sometime or the other. And every one of us distinctly, deep inside, want to be free from this bondage. Mumukshutvam is the desire for freedom. Moktum ichha mumuksha. Therefore, he says that even if you are a human being, you need not be interested in moksha. You may be interested in only dharma and kama. That is why it is said that in Kenopanishad it said, Na ihachet avedi mahati vinashti. You have got a human life, a human birth, where getting out of this cycle of samsara is possible. And if I have not made use of that, then I have lost a great opportunity. And what is this opportunity which I can use of? Mumukshutvam. The interest in knowing what our scriptures are telling. The interest in knowing where I stand, what am I. This is called as mumuksha. Mumukshatvam means the desire to be free from bondage, the desire to know myself, the desire to understand the truth behind what I am, the truth behind what God is, the truth behind what the world is, and how to escape or how to jump out of this cycle, this, this merry-go-round of life, to keep how to escape from this. This is what is called as mumukshatvam. Now, just being born as a manusha is not sufficient. I should have mumukshutvam also. That is why Bhagwan Krishna said, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye. In thousands and thousands of people, there is hardly one mumukshu. That is why in Vedanta classes, we hardly see any people. There are very few people who are interested in Vedanta, because Vedanta talks about freedom from this samsara. And of course, it requires a lot of concentration and effort and commitment and time for that. Therefore, we don't find. But if somebody tells you that, I will give you moksha with just doing this, then there are thousands of people going there. So that is why Manushyanam Sahasreshu Kaschit Yatati Siddhahe Tesham Api Siddhanam. Among them also, those siddha, those, yatis, those who have made an effort, hardly one of them reaches me. So this mumukshutvam is something which is rarer. I may be a manusha janma I would have got, but mumukshatvam is still rarer. Now that I have got manushatvam and I have got mumukshutvam, then there is a third thing, Mahapurusha Samshrayaha. Just being a human being is not enough. Just having a desire to be free from bondage is not sufficient enough. I have to have I have to have the contact or the tutelage of a Mahapurusha or a Guru who can unfold the Shastra to me. Otherwise, Shastra or our scriptures, Vedanta, is not something that I can study by myself. It is not possible for me to understand what the Shastra is telling. Self study is not possible. because there is possibility of totally mistaking and misinterpreting what the Shastra says. And therefore, it is very necessary for me to be under the tutelage of a guru. Guru Mukhena Shastra Adhyanam, Guru Mukhena Shastra Shravanam is absolutely necessary. And therefore, Bhagwan Shankaracharya says, all the three to be got together. Durlabham Trayameva Etad. All the three, that I am a human being, I am interested in getting rid of this bondage. I have the mumukshutvam. At the same time, I am born in a culture. I am born in a kind of a society where there is a value for moksha, where there is a value for scriptures. We can say we are lucky that way. I mean, we have everything. We have manushatvam, we have mumukshutvam, and we have such an excellent Guru Parampara, Advaita Guru Parampara, where we are exposed to this from probably our childhood days. We are exposed to these things. And what Shankaracharya Bhagavan says is, when such an opportunity is there, when Manushatvam is there, when Mumukshutvam is there, Mahapurusha Samshrayam is there, these three have come together. And if I do not put my effort, see, it's out of the grace of Daivanugraha Hetukam, he says, Durlabham Trayamevetat. We may have one of them. We may have Manushatvam. And after being a Manusha, I may not have Mumukshatvam at all. Lives and lives, I may just come and live my life like this and just go away. Once, sometime in some rare life, I may have this mumukshatvam, but then I may not have a teacher next to me. I may not know how to go about this. I may not find somebody who is able to teach me as to what is it that is to be taught. I may be totally confused. So here I am, here we are in our society, in our samaj, where we have manushatvam, we have mumukshutvam, and we have mahapurusha samshayam. And this is Mahapurusha Samshaya means a connection, a deep connection with a Mahapurusha, with a Guru who can deal with the Shastra, who can give me what the Shastra is telling, who can make understanding of the Shastra easy to understand. So he says, Durlabham Trayameva Yeta. It is very rare to find all these three. And all these three, when they come together, what is that? That I'm born as a Manusha. I have got the mumukshutvam, and also I have got that kind of a close connection with a parampara, the parampara where I can be exposed to this kind of a knowledge, where there is an exposure to this kind of a closeness with the parampara, sampradayika way, in a Guru Shishya tradition that has been given in this entire Guru Parampara. If I have got an association with this, and if I don't make use of this particular situation in trying to understand what the scriptures are saying, then I have wasted my life, because I don't know when is going to be my next life. That is what kind of a life I'm going to be, what kind of an embodiment I'm going to have in my next life, I don't know. That is why Bhagwan Krishna said in the 6th chapter, when Arjuna asked, after having gone through this sadhana, if I don't get this moksha and I die, what happens to me? And what did Bhagwan say? He said that I will see that all your other karmas are put on hold, and you are going to come back again as in the Manushya Janma, and you are going to start from where you have stopped. I will see that you are born in the right situations, in the proper homes, in the proper situations. Shuchinam, Shrimatam, Gehe. You will be born in a situation where it will be conducive for you to take up to where you had stopped this particular pursuit of moksha. So Bhagwan Krishna has promised us, but we have to start. We have to start somewhere. So here in this life, when there is this manushatvam, mumukshutvam, and mahapurusha samshraya, it is something which is absolutely rare and something which is very, very durlabham. But at the same time, it is something which is daivanugraha hetukam. And what we have got, we should not really lose it. We should make use of it for the understanding of what the Shastra says, to understand what moksha is, and to get out of this bondage. Now let us go to the verse, the third verse here, which is the fourth verse in actual Viveka Chudamani. Probably we don't have enough time to complete it. We will just read this verse and we can take up for the explanation from the next time. As I told you, since Viveka Chudamani is purely a Vedantic text and some of the concepts need to be explained in a greater detail, therefore, I may not be able to take up 7 or 8 verses as I took in Bhagavad Gita. Here, probably in a particular session, I may not be able to take more than 4, maximum 5 verses. And yes, it requires a lot of patience also on the point of view from the listeners also. So here, the fourth verse of the main one, which we are taking it up as a third verse. Here, I will just read this verse. It comes in another meter. लब्ध्वा कथञ्चिन्नरजन्म दुर्लभम् तत्रापि पुंस्त्वं श्रुतिपारदर्शनम् यस्वात्ममुक्तौ नयतेतमूढधीः स ह्यात्महा स्वं विनिहन्त्य सद्गृहात्. So that same thing which was given in the previous verse as that blessing which I have had in the form of being born as a Manusha, at the same time having this capacity to discriminate and to go after the pursuit of moksha, Purushartha Nishchaya. We talked about that in Bhagavad Gita also. Purushartha Nishchaya, Moksha Purushartha Nishchaya. I have made that, I have taken the pursuit of moksha as my human pursuit in this life. Doesn't matter whether it happens or not, but I have started the pursuit of moksha in this life. And then I have got also the Guru or the association with the Mahapurusha, with the Parampara, a Parampara Sahita, a Guru who is Sampradaya, with Guru who is there, who is able to guide me through this. And when I have got it, he says, a person who does not use this for Sva Atma Muktaye. If you take the third line, Yas Svatma Muktau Na Yateta Mudhadhihi. I'll explain again in the next session. A person, after having got all these three basic needs, basic demands which are necessary for moksha, Yaha Svatma Muktau, for releasing oneself, for Svatma Mukti, for releasing oneself from this bondage, Nayateta, a person who does not strive, he does not use his free will. See, it does not happen just because you are a human being, just because I have got Mumukshitvam, just because I have got a Mahapurusha Samshraya or Ashraya, it does not mean that I am going to automatically get moksha. I have to try. My self effort is also there. That is why in the first 6 chapters, Bhagwan Krishna talked about what? Self effort he talked about. Uddhared Atmanatmanam, self effort. So if I don't put effort, yatate na yateta, if a person does not strive for this, such a person is a moodhadhihi. Such a person is an unintelligent person. And saha, what does it do? He Atmaha Swam Vinihantya Sadgrihat. Such a person is called suicidal. Because having all these things with oneself, if the person is not going to make use of all this blessing and all this grace of Ishvara and Guru, and if he is not going to go for moksha, such a person, if a person does not make his effort, does not commit Mai Ananya Bhakti Yogena, Ananya Bhaktya, that's what Lord Krishna said, Ananya Bhaktya. If I don't become a Jignasu Bhakta, I'm going to take a lot from Bhagavad Gita also to, parallelly to say, if I don't become a Jignasu Bhakta, I can never become a Jnani Bhakta. And to become a Jignasu Bhakta, I should be committed to this knowledge. And if I'm not committed to this knowledge, it is as though I am destroying myself. He says, Atmaha. It is suicidal. Atmaha means the one who destroys himself. So when I have got all these three blessings, in the form of being born as a human being, and the one who has got this Purushartha Nishchaya of moksha, at the same time who has got association with the Sampradaya, with Guru, and if I do not make use of this, and I just while away my life and come back again in another embodiment, having lost all the grace that I have earned in this life, it is as though I am committing suicide. Atmaha means it is as though I am destroying myself, as though I am killing myself. It is equal to that. That is what Bhagwan Shankaracharya says. We will discuss this fourth verse of the main Chudamani in detail next time. ॐ नन्दन्तु साधका सर्वे विनश्यन्तु विदूषकाः अवस्थाशाम्भवी मेस्तु प्रसन्नोऽस्तु गुरुः सदा सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः.